Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Tech Wolf podcast, where we interview HR leaders on everything related to workforce intelligence. The use of real-time data and insights on jobs, skills, tasks to help organizations understand, predict, and transform their workforce. And today I'm lucky enough to be joined by Marquita and Mary Beth from Advent Health from the learning team. And we're actually recording this live at Workday Rising at the conference where you just had your keynote on the lovely topic of skills. So thanks very much for making extra time for this recording, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Julius. We are so excited to have this opportunity to sit with you and have this conversation about skills at Advent Health and where we are on our journey, having a great time here at Workday Rising.
Fantastic. And I'm keen to hear more about that.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. To be able to talk about skills, which is something we are incredibly passionate about, surrounded by so many people who are also passionate about it, is so energizing.
Yeah, it's been a real topic and a real talk of town, this conference, and I'm keen to dive in a little bit more with you. But before we do that, I want to ask you a question of the previous guest that was on our podcast with Diane Gerson, the former IBM CHRO. And she was keen to understand from you, what are the critical skills in your business and how are you helping senior leadership understand how they're doing on those?
Yes, it's a great question. We've really been following the World Economic Forum research in this space. And we've been following the skills that's important between now 2025 and leading up to 2030. And it's really helped us to identify 9 critical skills in our organization. We're really focusing on communication, collaboration, important skills like emotional intelligence and curiosity. That message is resonating with our executives in the organization, and we're bringing them along in all of our learning so they can understand how important these skills are across our organization, particularly as we are understanding the importance and elevation of emerging technologies and artificial intelligence. Mary Beth has been doing a wonderful job at leading that work and helping us with that socialization and awareness to those skills.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. And to answer the second part of the question, how are we doing in some of these spaces? We've really just launched some of this programming this year. And so we are running pilots and test groups, but we're also looking to see from our employees, how has their behavior changed and how are they applying what they've learned? And we've been really excited to see our employees come back and say, not just that the programming and the learning opportunities are good, but a high percentage come back and say, this is how I'm specifically applying it to my role. And so we've been very encouraged to see when we give them optional learning and we don't even ask them, here's how you should apply it. Can you do this? They organically know and apply on their own.
Yeah.
So we're very excited.
Awesome. So I hear a lot of networking across the organization, a lot of drawing employees and drawing the business in. So that sounds great. If we then zoom out for a little bit, we talked about critical skills, but I'm curious about the skills transformation you're going through in general. First question often is, what is a skill-based organization for you, for Advent Health? So I'd love to start there. Second piece of the question is why, but that's also interesting. But let's maybe start by defining what does this even mean to you?
It means that we're building a culture of curiosity that resonates with all levels across our organization, that resonates across all generations, that resonates with folks that have been a part of our organization for 20 years, but it also resonates with others that hope to become a part of our organization one day as our future talent. It is really the strength of our future pipeline, and it's a language that we can speak together, and it's the same language.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mary Beth could add a little bit more there.
Yeah, what I would add is that in our efforts to become a skills-based organization, really we're focusing on what does it mean to be a skills-powered organization and to really make that the language that we use for all of our employees. Because we know the research says that the shelf life of a skill is only about 5 years. And so because we have to continuously learn to reskill and to upskill, that means that we have to make that effort to remind ourselves to go find those opportunities to learn and grow. And if we have a culture where people are curious, like Marquita said, you're seeking out those opportunities to learn, you're seeking out those opportunities to grow. And really what comes to fruition is the whole organization becomes a dynamic learning organization as a whole. So for us, our skills-powered efforts are really centered around the dynamic of our organization growing together.
Yeah. And in that journey, it might be obvious for HR why it's important to embark on it. I'm curious to also know, why have you embarked on it from a business perspective? Like, what's in it for the departments beyond HR and why now?
We have a learning maturity model at Evans Health, and we have been very transparent about where we are as an organization. And we have learned that we're really in that episodic learning space, and we want to be in more of that continuous learning and dynamic learning space. So, when there's some transparency and there is a measurement of the learning that's taking place in your organization, the organization pays attention to that. And so the question becomes, how might we get to that next phase of learning at Advent Health? And that is one of the ways that we've been able to influence our executive leaders and our team members across the organization to come alongside with us in this journey.
And at the same time, we live in a world that is constantly changing. If you don't keep up with the world, particularly in the world of AI, you're going to fall behind. And in order to keep up, you have to learn and grow and be adaptable. And so that's one of the reasons why skills are so critical for our organization. So we don't fall behind. So we stay
Mm.
relevant and we stay ahead of what's coming.
Do you see any particular business area where the interest or the advocacy for this is the biggest? I mean, I've seen that there's a big push to become tech first, to focus on that type of transformation. Does that mean you focus more on the IT domains, on the technology domains within your organization, or is there anything that jumps out there?
I would say for us, so we're a healthcare organization. Really, what's driving our transformation as well is that we're going live with Workday at the end of this year.
Okay.
And so we get the opportunity to connect all of our systems in a way that we've never connected our systems before. And we'll have learning and career pathing and talent acquisition. All of those things get to speak a new language and that we're really excited about. So for us, we're excited for that language, but we also know in healthcare, there's critical healthcare shortages. And so we're excited to see how we can take the language of skills and be able to get new insights into our workforce capabilities to help provide and increase the talent pipelines for those talent shortages.
Across our organization, we have roles in the corporate space, in our support space, as well as, of course, our clinical spaces. And to just really double click on your question there,
Mm.
we're not finding that skills is important in one function versus another. Curated learning is important to all of our team members. Mobility is important to all of our team members. And again, it's that common language that we're being able to speak. Now, of course, we want to make sure that we're upskilling and there is enhancement of capability with our clinical team members. They're taking care of our patients across all of our campuses. And so it's important we keep them upskilled. And we'll continue to do that as we learn more about how AI technology will also change their working functions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've just had a session today on your journey. I'm curious, can you give like a summary on some of the things you covered there in terms of where are you right now in that journey? What have you done so far and what's to come?
Today, we primarily highlighted our change management efforts. And so, what we understand is in order to prepare for the technology, you've got to make sure that your workforce is aware of what is truly coming. So, when you say technology is coming, we're going to have a skills hub in Workday, what does that really mean for me? And so, we're making sure that we bring that importance to them of how the flow of work is changing, how work is changing with technology, and making sure that they have that awareness. We're not just keeping the research to ourselves. We're sharing
Mhm.
that research with them so that they also understand those important skills. And then we're also trying to enhance desire. Once the skills hub turns on, we turn that technology on, we want to make sure that they're utilizing that technology. And there's no question about, hey, why do you want to know this about
Mm.
me? Why am I entering my skills into this technology platform? I'm really not understanding it. So we can start with those key messages today to help them understand the purposes of that change and that shift. That's going to help us better implement the technology when we're going live here in a few months. But there were some other points made as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as part of the change management process for us at Advent Health, we know that we go live with Workday the end of this year. We know that that's the technology piece, but we really needed to focus on the culture and the change management piece,
Yeah.
as Marquita shared. At the same time, we also know skills are the thing that everyone wants to figure out, but there's not a step by step playbook that everyone follows. And for us as a team, this has been a journey we've been on 2 years. And we were here at Workday Rising last year for the first time, soaking up every single thing we could. And so for us to be able to experiment and try and be successful, it's such an honor to be able to share our learnings and opportunities to the folks who are trying to figure that out for themselves this year. Because our message is you don't have to have it all figured out completely perfectly. You just have to get started.
Yeah.
Because I haven't talked to anyone who's got it figured out perfectly. Everyone who's got an
Mhm.
incredible success story has just started somewhere, and oftentimes it's been in a different spot. We're a little unique in that we started our journey before we went live with any of the technology. But that's where, for us, change management and our culture is what's most important. So that way, our team members are prepared to utilize the technology to the fullest.
So this journey has been kicked off for you. And as you said, it's often multi-layered, multi-year, lots of stakeholders to manage, lots of expectations to manage. You're switching it on soon. How do you expect to keep momentum with the important stakeholders? It's a long journey. Often the question is like, when will we get something out of this? Like, can you show us the ROI? What's happening here? Is this a hype that we're just chasing, or is there some real meat to this? So is there anything there where you are really strategically positioning that momentum with key stakeholders?
Yes, I think for our key stakeholders as well as our team members, there is a fear that surrounds AI. What does this mean for me? What does this mean for my job? Will it replace me? And so when we begin to speak that skills language, we're helping our team members to understand, yes, there may be a percentage of your job as you see it today, as you're serving in it today, that you see that AI can come alongside you. But if you're also elevating these other power skills, some of which we mentioned earlier today, then there's a great match and alignment as human comes along AI. And we've been hearing a lot about that today. That is actually the same messaging that we're sharing with our executive stakeholders across the organization. Is how might we think ahead of the technology changes, and how might Advent Health become the best healthcare organization in terms of how work is changing in the future, and how do we get in front of that together? These messages are great coming from the learning and development team, sure, but it's more meaningful coming from the executive leaders across the
Mhm.
organization.
Mhm.
ROI, time will tell. We haven't turned the switch on yet, but we're working with partners across different vendors and just trying to learn more about, and even from customers, what have you all learned in your ROI journey? What are some of the things that we need to be thinking about and measuring in the future?
Yeah, fantastic. Often it's not a question of what to do with skills, but what to do first.
What to do first?
This seems to be very grounded in learning at Advent Health. Often use cases also go beyond, like talent mobility, skill-based hiring, etc. Can you talk a little bit through the thought process on what use cases to pursue and why you feel it landed in the learning space first?
We actually have a use case that we're experimenting right now. So we design and develop a internal homegrown learning platform called
Mm-hmm.
Skill Search for our team members.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea was if we create this space where there's learning experiences, no matter your learning preferences or your styles, would you use this platform for learning? Because that isn't push learning, it is pull learning. And so that is a culture shift for us as a healthcare organization. We have found, and we're seeing and understanding from our team members, the feedback that they're sharing back with us is, I enjoyed that experience. Thank you so much for giving me the space so that my curiosity thrives.
Mm-hmm.
They're also understanding that in the future, this is going to mean curated learning experiences for them, as well as maybe internal mobility, if that is their interest. So I would say that is the use case that I could share with you. And Mary Beth is in the early stages of measuring our team members' experiences with Skill Surge, and she can speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, Skill Search has been that pilot. I would say that this is, again, transforming the culture and that change management to prepare our team members when the door opens and we turn on the switch to all things Workday and we get to speak the language of skills. When you have skills on your profile and it's connected with your learning opportunities and it's connected with your career pathway and talent mobility and talent acquisition. And so I think the sky's the limit when we get to open the door with Workday based on the language of skills. And so for us, our use case started with what can we do outside of Workday to help prepare our team members and what can we pilot internally? As Marquita shared, we've had some incredible opportunities through Skill Surge. Our early pilots and metrics show that our employees are very excited to learn. It shows that our employees don't just like it, they don't just enjoy it, but they're actually applying what they've learned as well in a variety of different roles, which is what's exciting to see. We're also seeing early feedback that when leaders support their team member engagement, team members' confidence grow in that skill as well. And so we've done some test studies with groups and control and test groups to say, okay, so what does this group do and what does that group do? And the feedback is when the team participates together and the leaders involved, the teams are more confident after they go through the learnings. And again, the learnings are different for each team member. Some team members may just want a 3-minute little video because that's all they have time for, and that just meets their need. You've got others who want to read the book, they want to read the article, they want to watch the long video, they want it all. And we want to be able to meet our team members where they're at because learning looks different for every person.
Yeah, fantastic. And talking about learnings, I want to hear about yours. You're embarking on this journey. There's many other companies either considering or in even earlier stages than you are. So you've had a couple of hurdles, undoubtedly. I'm curious to hear from each of you one key learning on anything really when it comes to trying to become a skill-based organization.
The biggest takeaway in learning for me is to just get started somewhere because I'd rather get started than be stuck because you're never going to have that perfect plan. You're never going to have all of your assessments and measurement and content and strategy figured out all at the same time. And then it's okay to pilot, it's okay to test because in our piloting experience, through each skill that we've launched, we've updated things, we've learned things, we've had feedback from our team members that have said, I really want to experience this opportunity. And we've been able to respond to that. We've been able to say, okay, what are these metrics? Well, we want more metrics. And what does that look like? And so for us, we've had our own learning experience and how to provide the best team member learning experience. But we wouldn't be where we are unless we took the jump when we did.
Yeah, Marquita.
I would say my largest learning has been psychological safety is key, and it's very important to have that upfront and center in this specific type of strategy, a skills-based organization strategy. My observations of this is folks feel like I have a degree.
Mhm.
I'm doing well in my job. When I'm having my development conversation with my leader, I'm getting great feedback. And so I might be hesitant to raise my hand and say, in terms of skill capabilities, there are opportunities for me. However, what I'm learning is when we create a space of psychological safety, and Julius can say, hey, I need to improve on communication. Here's where I think I am with my proficiency level, and here's where I want to be. That is so significant and so powerful. Because if you don't have that safety and folks aren't comfortable with learning or feel like they should know it all, instead of just being a lifelong learner, does the technology matter? Does the skills that we focus on, does that matter if our team members aren't engaged in it?
Yeah, cool. My one but last question. Imagine we're here, Rising, next year. What do you hope to tell me after 1 year about the skill project and where it's at in 1 year time? And we talked about Rising next year, maybe main stage, but I'm already curious. Like, what do you hope to say in the mic 1 year from now?
That Advent Health has accomplished its goal of cultivating curiosity and growth within and across our organization.
Cool, clear. Anything to add, Mary Beth?
I can't top that. No, that's perfect. I would say that a year from now that we're still learning and growing and that we've been transformed through the launch of Workday and that our team members and our employees and our leaders are all excited and energized and passionate about the opportunities because we're excited, but I want to see them as excited as we are. And I want them to catch the vision. So I hope to be here on that main stage, like you mentioned, Julius, next year and share how excited and passionate and energized our team members are about their future opportunities.
All right. And then last question, you might know what's coming. Can you connect this episode to the next one by asking the question yourself to the next guest, which will likely be Lisa Brockman at Genesis, Talent Management Director. Genesis is one of our Tech Wolf customers. So I'm keen to hear either Marquita or Mary Beth to ask the question. Can be about anything, can be about skills, can be a fun question, personal questions.
Oh, I think one of my questions would be from a talent management perspective, where are skills most important to her and her organization? As we have come at things from the learning perspective first, I know that everyone starts in a different spot, and I would love to hear from Genesis. Where does skills start for them?
As in what use cases or what they're trying to pursue? Okay. Let's see how they roll with that. Awesome.
Sounds like
Thanks a lot, both, for despite your busy day already, undoubtedly, and your packed day, to make some time for this. And I hope we do this again, maybe in 1 year's time.
We'll be here. Thank you, Julius.
Awesome. Thank you.